Welcome to the Greg Bennett Show. I'm your host, Greg Bennett. Well, what a privilege this was to have the Tokyo Olympic Games triathlon gold medalist, Kristian Blummenfelt, join me once again for an amazing insight in just what it took to win the gold medal. And in this episode, Kristian breaks down the race from the false start all the way through to his incredible surge to victory with just over a kilometer left in the run. He describes his preparation and his mindset going into the games and what that medal means to him. We conclude by discussing what's next, and it blew my mind what he has planned. Just what a thrill it was to have him join me, the Olympic Games gold medalist, just 4 days post-race. Now, before we go on, I just want to thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the show. Those of you that are enjoying it, you can do me a huge favor by sharing. You can also support the show's partners, Athletic Greens, Hyper Ice, and Form Swim Goggles. That really supports the show if you can do that. You can support the show if you're enjoying it through Patreon. You can give as much as you like or as little, and you can conclude that whenever you like. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. What a thrill. And remember, success comes to those who endure just one moment longer. A quick mention of the show's partners. These are all great companies and products that I use daily. If you want to support the show, you'd be doing me a massive favor by supporting these brands. This episode is brought to you by Hyper Ice. Hyper Ice is my go-to solution for recovery and restoration. The handheld percussion therapy devices, the Normatec boots, and the vibrating rollers all release your deepest muscle tension and just aid your recovery. I own the Hypervolt Plus, I own the Hypervolt Go, the Normatec boots, and the vibrating rollers. And both my wife Laura and I use them every day before and after workouts and before bed. They're all just so easy to use at home. They're quiet, easy to charge, and have ready at any time. I encourage you to look after your body. Honestly, it's the only thing you get to keep for all of your life. All these Hyper Ice products are just simply brilliant. Get 10% off all Hyper Ice products using the exclusive Greg Bennett Show code GREG21 at checkout. Go to hyperice.com, that's hyperice.com, hyperice.com, and use code GREG21 at checkout. This episode is brought to you by my longtime partner and amazing company and brilliant product, Athletic Greens. I'm using Athletic Greens every day. Great taste, so quick and ready to go. Athletic Greens is a delicious blend of 75 superfoods and vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and a greens blend and more to support gut health, energy, and immunity and stress. I've also been doubling down on Athletic Greens vitamin D. A huge portion of the population are vitamin D deficient, myself included. And right now, Athletic Greens will give you a year's supply of vitamin D for free and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Do yourself a favor and sign up. It makes a great gift for a family member or a friend. So sign up now and get a free year of supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase by visiting athleticgreens.com/Greg. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Greg. This episode is brought to you by Form. In my opinion, Form Smart Swim Goggles are the biggest thing to hit the swimming world. With Form Smart Swim Goggles, you can see all your key metrics while you're swimming: your distance, your pace, stroke rate, and heart rate. The swim data is displayed on the goggle lens, and you can customize the display to see the key metrics that you want to see. I couldn't believe it when I first tried them. They fit like normal, comfortable goggles, and the display is there, but it's not in the way. I consciously look at the lens to see my stroke rate and my pace and my heart rate and distance. If you're a pool swimmer or an open water swimmer, I encourage you to check these goggles out. Please go to formswim.com/Greg. Again, that is formswim.com/Greg and get $15 off the Form Smart Swim Goggles at checkout, or use code GREG2021 at checkout. All right, the guest I have on the show today was last on in episode 14. And I said in that show that I believe the next generation of triathletes are here. And I don't mean to brag. I simply have been so impressed with his preparation and build over the last 10 years that I said in that episode that I believe he would win the gold medal at the Tokyo Olympic Games. And since that episode, I've had his coach, Arild Tveiten, on episode 69, and his training partner, Gustav Iden, episode 52 on the show. And between all of them, I listened to what they were doing in preparation for these games, and I was left without a doubt that they would be ready. So, without any further ado, I am delighted to welcome back onto the Greg Bennett Show the Tokyo Olympic triathlon gold medalist, Kristian Blummenfelt. Huge congrats, mate. How are you? Where are you?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm doing fine. I'm very tired after a long travel, but
Mm.
I just made it back home now in Bergen. Haven't been here since mid-January, so it's been a really long journey since I left home like 6, 7 months ago, and yeah, I'm just pleased to be able to bring the gold medal back home.
Mate, well, it's such a privilege for me to have you join me on the show. I did write you just before the games, maybe a week before, and I said, Kristian, when you win that medal, would you mind coming on my show post Olympics? And so here we are, and I really am delighted for you. I have a special shout out and a special thank you. Right after the race, you did an interview with BBC, and I'm not sure if you remember because I know you've done so many since, but you mentioned that you'd listened to my show with all the previous gold medalists on it, with Simon Whitfield, Hamish Carter, Jan Frodeno, and Alistair Brownlee. And you said in that interview, I want to be on that list. So thank you for mentioning that on BBC. It's great for my show, great for my ego, but also just welcome to that list, mate. It's absolutely incredible. So congrats and thank you.
Well, thank you very much again. As you said, I think you posted kind of the chat around the former Olympians like a few days before my own race, and kind of I wasn't sure if it were something I should listen to or not. When you're building into the race, somehow you don't want to have the kind of listen to all the talk pre-race. You don't want to listen to all the kind of who is thinking who is a favorite. You just want to be in the bubble, but also it's kind of I just couldn't stay away from listening to it. And as you said, to now be actually the fifth athlete ever to be in like Olympic champion in the triathlon is just yeah, unreal.
I remember when I was recording that episode and I was interviewing each of them, and I thought, gosh, any athlete that's actually going to race, this is worth listening to, because there were actually quite a lot of great takeaways on how to perform and what it takes to win that gold medal. And I thought it might just ignite a fire in certain athletes. Obviously, you might have helped a little bit in your process, but when you hear sort of Alistair Brownlee, Jan Frodeno, Hamish Carter, Simon Whitfield all describe how they won. And yours was very similar to sort of what we saw in a lot of those, in the way that you accelerated towards the line. So it was fantastic. But what I want to do today is just start with the race, and then maybe go back and have a look at how you prepared, and maybe bounce around a bit after that. So let's jump right to it. The race, mate. The swim. Let's start with that false start. Did you get a better start the first time around or the second time around?
Well, first of all, I think I found it quite weird, because I saw the boat filming us just in front of us, and then very, very quickly after it passed me, we had a gun go off. So when I jumped into the water, I kind of had this feeling that wasn't that boat just in the middle of half of the field. So I was kind of looking around, see if I could like find any kayak coming, kind of trying to stop us, and so I kind of thought, okay, it's probably going to be pulled back, if not stay in a decent position. So it wasn't really a big surprise that we had to go like for a second start, and then again you just have to refocus and think that okay, it's actually not that bad to have this kind of last minute warm up, getting the chance of diving, doing a quick 50 or 100 meters, and then chilling down again. So I think it helped on the nerves as well before the second time.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that perhaps either you had a good start the first time around, and so you're like, okay, I'm on and I'm ready to go, or you had a bad start and you were kind of like, okay, I get a second go at it, so that's all right. I mean, I timed it from when you guys started the sprint to when you finished, and it was about 35 seconds. So you're looking at 60, 70 meters there, and yeah, it was a decent effort, but then I think it was a kind of a 5 to 10 minute kind of until you were back on the line again. What I also noticed was that yourself, Hayden Wild started next to each other, and Alex Yee was only 2 spots from you. So the medals started in between 15 and 12 on the pontoon. Do you think that was a good place to start?
Yeah, I think all of us, like highest ranked, choose to be on the right side, except for Skuman and Johnny. So that when you have all the favorites basically on one side, that's it's kind of a reason why we have the ranking. So it's not necessarily just the position on the pontoon; it's more the fact that we got to choose first and we choose to be around each other. But it made it a little bit easier to have control of where I thought like my main competitors were on the swim, because I was standing next to Hayden Wall, and I knew that what he did in Leeds a few weeks earlier, first race back from being locked down in New Zealand doing local races, was quite impressive. And also I had a sense that like a lot of good runners were around me. So even though I went ending up being like 25 seconds off the front, I still had this kind of feeling that it would come down to a run race. It's all about getting through in a safe position with a good control on the swim, not going too much into the red zone, but kind of trying to go controlled, and then onto the bike. We were just behind kind of that 10-man breakaway. I think we had like 15, 20 seconds up. And again, I tried to not use too much energy. I was like one of 5 guys doing the work, but if I did it all by myself, I guess I could have closed it down in 1 lap if I went kind of all out there. But I thought that it's actually good to use a few laps, make the guys in the first pack believe that if they push hard now, they might be able to get away, and also to share the work in my pack to make sure that as many as possible kind of went to the front. So I tried to stay calm, look at my heart rate, trying to get it dropped throughout the bike course, and just trying to stay in control.
I think you've just summed it up so well. I think, looking at the men's race, it really didn't break in the swim. The breaks happened in that first transition where, like you said, sort of 10 guys got away and a little gap. There was tremendous self-belief in what you just said. There was this confidence that you were kind of thinking, well, if that 10 work hard, believing they can get away, they're going to tire themselves out. And I can sit here and wait a couple of laps and know that there's a real confidence there that you knew you could close that gap. Who were the guys that were working with you? It looked like on TV that you had Hayden Wild and Alex Yee both there with you. Was it those guys? Who were the big helpers?
I think Hayden Wild was with Gustav in the beginning on the bike. I'm not sure. But Alex Yee did kind of his part of the work, and also Jake were there, and Casper did the work. And then also we had the Canadian domestic trying to do the opposite, slow us down to do his work as he were with us, and having Tyler up front, which was the kind of fair. But again, our job is to catch those guys in front and not let him do his job. So we were like 4 or 5 guys sharing the work in the beginning there, and also Aaron Royal came up in the end. And then I think after 20K or something, we finally bridged up properly. And then for the last 20K, it was kind of no real attack. It was no real fight for the position either. We had Sharp being in the front, and I knew that I didn't want to let Sharp and Mislechuk kind of giving Mislechuk a free ride. So at every chance I got, I tried to squeeze myself in between those two and be kind of getting the most benefits of having Matt there as a domestic. And so
great.
I was like telling him, "Yep, Tyler, he's on my wheel. Just go, like to try to kind of take control and just stay safe without really touching the wind too much on the bike, because I saw from Leeds that Alex, he were uh, he run like a minute faster than what I did in Leeds, and 20 seconds or something faster than Morgan Pearson. So I knew that he was showing that he was ready to go fast on the run, and if I would have any chance to go with him there, I thought that I need to be playing my card right and really believing in myself on the run there, and not trying to do kind of something half-hearted, half-tried attack on the bike, because I put like everything in one basket, and that were to do the same as I did in Yokohama.
That would have been hard for you, though, because we are so used to seeing you for years. I mean, less the last couple of years. I mean, we haven't raced much, but where you have attacked so aggressively towards the end of the bike to open up that sort of 30 seconds to 50-second lead type thing. This one, you had to sort of restrain yourself and go, no, just rest, be ready, be ready. Was it like that? You had to keep telling yourself that, or was that the race plan you went in with and it was just, okay, that's the only race I'm going to do?
It was actually something I decided pre-race, that don't just go by instinct. Try to be clever. Try to hold back. Try to stay up front without really touching the wind, and kind of also, instead of just being mid-pack and having to do those kind of really hard surges out of the corners, try to be in a position where I could actually ease them a little bit off, and instead of doing like 10 seconds super fast sprint out of the corner, I could do like maybe 14 or 15 and drag kind of the acceleration a little bit longer to be able to have less spikes in my ride compared to what it could have been. And then obviously the fight for second transition, I was expecting it to be much tougher, actually, that we would have like guys coming from behind trying to fight for a good position. So that was something that I found quite strange in the race, that I could actually be up front there with maybe 4 or 5 guys without really having to fight for positions. It was a little bit on the second last lap, I think, before coming into transition, and the same on the last lap, but not more than that. People were kind of scared, I think, for the heat and trying to do mistakes. So a lot of people were kind of also going for the run race.
Yeah, so it was a little bit more cautious than usual. And I wonder also if it was just because it was a smaller field, and perhaps, there's guys in there that were just, to some degree, happy to be at the Olympic Games and just trying to do the best they could. And almost when there's a couple of generals in the pack, yourself and Alex Yee and some of the leaders, Brownlee, there's almost a little bit of, okay, they're okay right there. I'll sit right behind them. I mean, there's that kind of mindset that probably goes on in a maybe subconscious rather than a conscious decision. But with yourself and Alex Yee, you both have won the World Series races leading into this Games, and I think you put yourself in that position where people are like, okay, it's okay. I'm on Kristian's wheel. That's a good wheel to be on. I'm not going to fight him for it. And then now, mate, the run. Tell me about that. Did the pace feel at any point where it was too high or too slow, especially early on?
I felt quite good coming off the run there and in a good position. And so the pace wasn't like the problem. What surprised me the most were that we were actually like 10 or 12 guys running together for quite a long time. Like when I run with Jelle and Alex in Yokohama, for example, we got like a gap quite early, already from the first K, and we had kind of the separation there for the podium. But in Tokyo, we had it was kind of still on the run. You had more fight for the position on the run almost in the first 3-4K than I had to do on the bike. So so at one stage I saw the race in the replay. I'm going like from being second position to be like in 7th and 8th, and I heard like the commentator were like saying, oh, okay, this is not looking good. He's going backwards. But then it was more that it was like everyone wanted to be up front on the run. So I tried again to be really aware when I saw small gaps happening, and just jump across quickly on the run there. And also, again, be patient enough to wait for the last 5K.
And it seemed to me that Alex Yee was either happy enough to lead, or everyone was happy enough to sit behind Alex Yee. Did it feel that way to you?
I think, I was surprised that he was doing that much work on the run. But also maybe that was kind of a strategy from after racing in Leeds, where he just went in his pace. For me, it was good. Like, he was pacing well. But also we had some guys trying to get through and pick up the pace. Like Dorian at one stage came through, I think, after one lap, and also Max Studer, for example. So again, it was a little bit change of the lead, but he was doing most of the work for sure. And also Hayden was always in a good second, third position.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Hayden, but it definitely looked like Hayden had all eyes on Alex's back, and he wasn't going to let it go. Now, let's get to the crux of the race, mate, because when you went, I mean, was that planned? Was it planned to be at that point? Was it 1K to go? How far was it?
Well, I just kind of test them a little bit. Like, I think it was with 3K to go, we were still 8 guys or some things together, and then on the way up to the turning point, I put in like this little acceleration, kept the push around the 180, and then back again through the coach's feed zone. And then suddenly we had like this separation for the first time in the race where we had a gap down to Johnny Brownlee in 4th. And then again, I tried to, okay, now the gap is happening. Try to motivate the guys behind me that we all have a podium. Let's keep the pace rich now for the next few Ks.
You were talking. Did you actually
yes,
talking?
Yeah. I said like, this is the podium. Let's go. Like, because when you get like this message, it's very easy to you all want to bring home a medal for sure. That's kind of an ambition in itself for all athletes. So I try to kind of motivate them to actually put the hammer down a little bit earlier. So then I went back a little bit to save myself, and I think I started with 2K to go with like the first surge out on the last lap, and then it didn't really work because it's hard to go too early. So I kind of have to test my legs a little bit, and kind of pick it up gradually. And then with like 1500 to go, I gave it a proper try again. And I didn't expect the gap to happen that early. I thought I had to keep pushing like for maybe another 500 meters to really open up the gap. But then when I first saw the gap coming, I just thought that, okay, this is actually happening in the Olympic Games. I'm on the way to open up the gap to become Olympic champion. Don't give them a chance to come back for this. And from there on and home, it was basically all out sprint. Like, it's the last K of my life. And then coming into that into the beach on the blue carpet, kind of realizing that it's really happening. It's unbelievable feeling, and also seeing the finish tape in front of me. I was like on the swim fam and bike fam the days before. I've been kind of looking at this finish line and kind of having it in my mind. It was looking so good, kind of, even though it was empty seats from the grandstand. it was kind of looking so kind of with Olympic logos, everything. It was kind of looking so nice, and it was something I've been dreaming about for so many years. So it's really a relief as well to cross the finish line first. I think we've been quite vocal about our ambition for the race. Like I've said for years that I want to win the Tokyo Olympic Games, and I've always almost guaranteed a gold medal here. So to actually be able to perform and achieve and bring the medal back home was really, really relieved.
A quick mini break to remind you of the show's incredible partners. You can get 10% off all Hyperice products using the exclusive Greg Bennett Show discount code GREG21 at checkout. Go to hyperice.com and use code GREG21. A quick reminder to do yourself a favor and sign up to Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens also makes a great gift for any family member or friend. So sign up now and get a free year's supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase by visiting athleticgreens.com/Greg. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Greg. If you want to see all your key metrics like your pace, distance, stroke rate, and heart rate while you swim, you need the Form Smart Swim goggles. Go to formswim.com/Greg. That's formswim.com/Greg and get $15 off. Or you can use code GREG2021 at checkout. It's such a sweet feeling when you put a goal so big out there. You've put the pressure on yourself. You said, I'm going to do it. I mean, I remember when you said on the episode we did, and you said, I talked to Arild in 2010, and we said, well, what do we want to do in this sport? And you said, well, I want to win the Tokyo Olympic Games. I mean, you've been riding that exact goal, for a long, long time, and then to deliver on it. I just want to quickly step back on one bit. When did you really feel like you had it won? Was it as you ran on the blue carpet and you had to go around that little corner? Did you get to see Alex Yee in second then? Is that when you kind of knew? Or when was it that you actually go, okay, I think I've got this, just hold it together?
I think it was kind of on the way back, going through the last aid station where the coaches could hand out the drinks to us. That was maybe 800 to go. I knew that when you first give a gap like that to someone, it's very hard to close it down. So and I felt like I can just not pick up the pace, but at least stay at the same pace going into the finish line. So I felt like I had this tiny gear left that if he came back, I could still go for a sprint. So I think maybe with 600-700 meters to go, I felt that this is really happening. But again, then it's very important to stay focused, don't letting the emotions getting in too early, because I guess I've seen athletes starting to think too much about actually having the win in the pocket, and suddenly you get the kind of you feel shakiness in your legs, and suddenly boom, you hit the wall, and you get second or third instead. So I try to kind of stay away of feeling kind of the joy of the win before actually getting into the blue carpet, and then I could find a kind of scream of happiness when I had like 10 or 20 meters left, and and I guess you could see.
But did you have that moment like Jan Frodeno did? What am I going to do when I cross the line here?
I think it's you dream about crossing the line so many times, and you have so many scenarios of how you actually want to finish the race. But when you actually get there, it's just kind of pure instinct how you kind of celebrate, and
And then you collapsed on the ground, mate. I mean, that effort on your face, and I'm curious, surely Arild's got it, whatever your split was for that last kind of mile, 1K, must have been just absolutely phenomenal. But the effort on your face, I think the whole world's talking about this grit that you had. Did it hurt as much as you were putting on? Or, It looks painful, mate.
Well, I think the whole thing is to close that out. You don't feel. You just try to focusing on pushing us, like pushing the next level, pushing, and just ignoring the feeling of how tired you are, because it doesn't really matter. It's all about like like the lungs burns. Like I felt like the ventilation was really, really peaking there. Like, for example, when I was breathing, but then you just recognize it, and then it's not much more you can do about it. You just keep going and keep pushing, and especially when you are having so much adrenaline, you don't. It doesn't hurt that much somehow. It's more you are in a position where you can just squeeze out absolutely everything, and then when you cross the line, you kind of get the feeling of how tired you actually were.
And you did collapse across the line, and from all accounts, I think you're a bit ill. You're a bit sick at the finish there. Was that the water quality, or was that the effort? At the end there.
No, it's just the fact that I pushed myself there. The water was fine, I guess, with the testing they were doing, and I wasn't really sick. It was more the fact that I squeezed out everything I had there, and also for the race, I was drinking quite a lot, more than usual, for a race. So, and also on the run there, I tried to stay hydrated. So I guess I had kind of maybe leftovers in my stomach that just had to go up. And
I know.
the only annoying thing were that after the finish line, when I just had to empty myself, I had people around who wanted to help, but it's not much they can do. I just want to puke it up, and then I'm sort of fine.
I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. And then those moments after the race, you got to share it with your teammates who crossed the line not soon after you, both Gustav Iden and Kasper Stornes. And Arild, I mean, you guys have all been such a close unit for so many years, and you've got a bigger team than that. What was that feeling like to just share it with those guys?
Well, that was pure happiness. Of course, I can understand that both Gustav and Kasper, they had ambition of getting on the podium, and they were both dreaming about getting a medal and winning the race. But again, we had a really strong team performance, like all three top 11, and really kind of being up there in the race. And also to see Arild and Olav the first time after the race was just pure happiness. It's not just me as an athlete who's been not sacrificing, because it doesn't feel like that, but kind of using so much of her life to get this gold medal. They are using at least as much time and energy on being the best that they can be. So they have really been working hard for the last 5 years since Rio. They've been hungry since day one after Rio, and of course the pressure was on them as well. How we were performing were kind of their results. So they were massively relieved as well for getting the medal.
I just think, that whole team unit, like I said in the introduction, I've had several of you on the show, and I've always been impressed not only by the kind of physical training you're all doing and the science and the data, but this brotherhood that you seem to have, this camaraderie that I don't know that any of the other countries have, that where, you've all been excited for each other to do well. With Gustav Iden winning the 70.3 world champs and you winning, well, everything else that you've done. It's just been this, I've really found this mutual respect and admiration you have for each other has been, I think, something that separates you guys from the other countries of the world. There's a real brotherhood. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. And I think the fact that we've been training for so many years together, like start training with Gustav back in 2012 and the year after with Kasper, it's something we have been dreaming about for so many years been a common goal for all of us, and we have kind of learned to appreciate the fact that the more we are working together, the more we will increase our chances to perform, all of us. So kind of both Gustav and Kasper is making my job easier to perform in races by helping me in the training and optimizing and making me learn more. For example, all the data we're using is something we're sharing with each other. So when Gustav or Kasper is going to the lab, I have the chance to look and learn from what they're doing, and the same they can do from my numbers, and then we can use that to improve each other. It's not often you have two world-class athletes you can take kind of almost read their training diary from to learn from their experience, and I think that's really helping.
I love all of that, and you guys have been so scientifically focused. Did you know kind of that you would run a 29:30? I mean, you ran a 29:34. Was did you have a number in mind, or was that just run as hard as you can?
Well, I did like 29:20 something in Yokohama, 25 or something. So I did expect that I would have to be in the neighborhood of that again, just under tougher conditions. But also I wasn't sure what the numbers would be in the course itself, because from the test event, I thought that the run course was a little bit short, but it apparently it's the same course as we had this year, and it seems legit, I would say. But like it depends how hard the bike course is going. So it's hard to have like a specific timing to trying to reach for a 10K. It's more about the overall position in the end.
Yeah, the effort. Okay, here we go. What's been the reaction in Norway? How has it been since you got home?
Oh, it's been massive. Like it's actually the first gold medal since London on the summer side. So it's really good to kickstart this year's Olympics from Norway side. Hopefully we'll have a stronger games than we had in Rio, where we only had like 3 bronze or 4 bronze medals. So I think we are like a very hungry generation now, who's really keen to perform, and hopefully we'll see like now as athletics is starting that we will take home more medals, and also the handball is finishing up. So I think we are a group of really hungry athletes who is want to kick back from what we did in Rio and London. But I think that showcased a bit of what the response in media has been back home, as it hasn't been too many Olympic gold medals in the past, and also the fact that it's the first one to Bergen on the summer side. So it means a lot.
Oh, mate, that is so fantastic. I love that. I love that you're basically setting the tone for the rest of the country, and no matter what happens for the rest of this Olympics, because we are recording this only 4 days after your race, but whatever happens the rest of Norway, they still have your gold medal, and such an incredible one. Now, I want to flick back the switch just a little bit, because you raced early in the year and you raced well. You know, you won the Yokohama WTS race. Then you won a World Cup the following week. You came 6th at Leeds, which wasn't terrible, but it was some people started to question, if you peaked too early and that kind of thing. What was that final couple of months like in training? Did you guys go back up to altitude? What were you doing specifically to get ready for the Tokyo Games?
So, as you said, I did 4 races or 5 races, including the relay, back to back there in May and June, and I came in with a really good form and winning the first 2 ones. And then I came to Italy and felt this kind of stomach issue kind of in the race leading up, or in days leading up to the race, where I felt a little bit loose in the stomach, and that I didn't really absorb all the energy. So I think actually for the Italian race where I finished 7th, it was more a nutrition side than the form itself, because I think racing back to back isn't that hard. Like it's a lot of recovering in between, and it's more kind of a tough session that's giving me that kind of muscular stimulus that's gonna make me even stronger for next week. So I was aiming for just getting stronger and stronger throughout the racing, but then I got this kind of Italian race, and then managed to get a little bit better before Leeds, but then felt strong. Oh, okay on the swim, okay on the bike. But then I came into transition there, and my hamstrings, especially my left hamstring, was really sore and cramping up. And in transition, and we had this first uphill climb on the run, and I thought that I had somehow control of it. But then when we started running flat and downhill again, I couldn't really run. I just had to jog, and I felt the pace of the front runners wasn't the problem. It was just my hamstring that didn't play on my side. And the funny thing is that also in Yokohama, I had this kind of issue with my hamstring there on the second and third lap of the run. But back then, I thought that it was just kind of running the high pace and maybe the new carbon shoes that was affecting my muscle a little bit differently, and it wasn't a big deal. But then when I got it again in Leeds, I actually realized that it was maybe more a cycling problem than a running problem. So I tried to take out the impact of my hamstring while I was riding. So I did kind of adjust my position a little bit on the bike to get the saddle more forward, to use my quads more, and also go a little bit higher on the saddle, just to be able to save my hamstring more. And I think the experience I got in Leeds there, and kind of the fact that I had, I think it was 6 weeks from Leeds until the games to do a change there on the bike, was really helping me. And also the training in the altitude was good, very solid. I was in good shape across swim, bike, and run. So of course it gave me confidence going into the games, in the same way as I had the confidence from being in Sierra Nevada and then going to Yokohama and performing. I felt like I am really in the shape I want to be now, 1 week away from the games. And that makes it easier, I guess, to deal with the nerves. I never felt like I had to do kind of this magical session where I had to really push really hard to get in shape. I felt that I was actually more than pleased with what I did on the run and what I did on the bike. And also the times in the pool was getting solid compared to the lactate. So I was very happy with the form I was going into the game with. And that made it easier to keep controlled.
It's scary to do a bike position change about 6 weeks out, because it can go kind of either way, right? I mean, suddenly you have a knee pain or a back pain, or were you concerned about any of that, or you could feel that it worked right away?
I felt it worked right away because in the beginning I thought that, okay, I don't want to do any adjustment at all on the bike. I just want to be more aware in training, like doing more times where I'm really using my hamstring when I'm riding, like just focusing on the hamstring, doing single leg training, etc. But then after like a week in altitude, I got Giant came up with new bikes, and also I got to see the Trinity bike. So I just went on the Trinity for just a little spin, and then I got like that feeling, when on the TT bike you have your saddle much more over the crank than on a road bike. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, okay, let's see how many centimeters I'm behind the crank on the propel at the moment. And then we moved it forward like 1.5 centimeters. And I felt like, okay, it's much more kind of the connection with the muscles that I would like to kind of, this is where I want to connect with the muscles when I'm riding. So I felt it was right step straight away.
That's awesome. Well, that's the thing. The fact that you had your time trial bike, that you'd been used to a certain position. It was for my bike when I mean, I don't mean to talk about myself, but I used to do so much time trialing that when I did go back to a road bike, it almost was a hybrid bike. Well, I wasn't in a full road position. I started to become a bit more hybrid, where I was kind of like, I'm so used to the time trial, getting a little bit more forward over the bottom bracket that actually works. Was there any specific kind of swim, bike, or run workouts that you did in preparation for Tokyo that were maybe, where you were really thinking about the course, the bike with I guess there was about 90 corners. Were you doing a lot of that kind of VO2 power type work on the bike or on the run? Was there anything specific you were doing?
So what we did in the pool were straight away from Leeds, we did like this, either in the beginning we did 2 by 15 by 100 race pace, where we tried to go out hard in the beginning, and then finding the race pace we wanted to hold. And towards we got closer, we were like doing less and less. So in the end, we just did like 15 by 100 of race pace. And on the bike and run, we had really good support in Miyazaki, because we were there with the Japanese team, and they were helping us organizing everything down there. So we had the Miyazaki team, I think it was the people who's organizing the triathlon event there normally. They were like closing down a course for us, very technical one, that we were allowed to do bike to run sessions on. So we did have specific sessions there where we were really doing this acceleration in and out of the corners and all of that. But also, the closer we got to the race, we saw that the chances for having a wet day was just increasing. So then again, we had to think about if we want to target days where it's raining to do it as well. But then we actually ended up trying to avoid it, as we saw it would be nice again, and doing more and more sessions inside to compare to be able to kind of get the heat stimuli as we were looking for.
How many weeks before did you go to Miyazaki?
I think it was 10, 12 days before the games, and we were there for like just over a week.
Perfect. And what about the run? Was there any specific workouts here where you kind of tick the box and go, okay, I'm ready to run quick here? Was there anything kind of that stood out and go, okay, I'm in the shape of my life?
Or some of the sessions were like just basic threshold sessions where we did like down on the dam in Formö. It's like 1K over or just under, so we are running a little bit extra on the one side, and did like 2K reps at like 3:07 pace with quite basic shoes, not any carbon shoes or interval shoes, but just kind of those heavy shoes. And still the leg there was like too flat, and it was just kind of going downwards. But I didn't really want to push the pace too much either, because I felt it a little bit in the foot in the training. So even though my leg there was like just dropping in, and the coach was like saying, you can go faster, I was like, I'm not sure if I will go faster. Like, wow. So I knew that like the times versus the leg day was really good, but also I felt that I was kind of balancing there very closely to get like this injury as well. When you're feeling a little bit of pain and you're trying to keep it to yourself and trying to keep it under control, and you see like from session to session and try to compare it if it's going better or worse. So I felt it was, when I got the closer I got, the more kind of relief I got that actually I will be able to get to the games without putting myself under any injuries.
Oh, mate. That's because you had that. Was that a foot injury you had towards the end of last year? And
no, not the same at all. I had a leg injury last year, what felt like the leg was ripped off, but now it was more down at the metatars on the other foot, where I had like this kind of. I wasn't sure if it was like a build up to a fracture or not, but you know the feeling when you're pushing hard and you're getting fit, and it's always suddenly some smaller pain you have, and you try to go when you're at the pool. You try to walk normally without people seeing that he's hurting a little bit, you know.
You're living on the knife's edge, right? It's just constant of push, but pull back.
And also, it's like that's close to the games, like 3 or 4 weeks left, and it's not much else you can do than just keep following the program and hoping that the body will stay together for next month.
Wow. And how did that feel, that foot, the last couple of days into the race? Had it sort of started to go off as you tapered, or were you still kind of concerned at all?
That was getting less and less painful. I was using I found some shoes that was a little bit wider with the toes. So I'm not sure if I was just running with too tight shoes or what it was, but I felt like it was dropping off a little bit as the last 2 weeks. And also the more I felt like I had control over it, the more kind of relieved and ready I felt.
It sounds like I often got those neuromas in my foot or pinched nerves. Laura had the same. So my feet got wider and wider as the years went on. And by the end of it, I was wearing 4E shoes. It was like just my feet could breathe. So I understand the pain that you're in, but just absolutely fantastic. And I guess on that, your headspace the last couple of days into the race, was there self-belief growing? Was it kind of like, I'm ready? Or was there any anxiety? What was that like?
I felt very ready. As I said, I felt pleased to be in a position where I felt like I'm in the fitness I want to be in the swim. I'm in the fitness I want to be on the bike, and also I felt technical, strong in the course compared to how I've been earlier. I did the bike course quite a few times before the race. So I really felt confident in the course and my own ability. And also I knew that I could run fast. Like I've shown that in Yokohama earlier. And also I had the confidence that I really could do the kick there in the end. And also that we have done the heat prep that we needed to do to be ready. So it was a really I knew that I was ready, and but still, it's so much that can go wrong. For example, I was in the shape of my life back in the test event, but then I crashed out with a few laps left on the bike. So it's so much that could go wrong, and but I just tried to tell myself that I'm in a great position now. Just take advantage of it, and if it doesn't go well, it's okay to be extremely disappointed.
It sounds like you're in a really good headspace where you'd got yourself to neutral, not too high, not too low, just sort of finding that neutral platform, which is a great place to race from. Was there anything that Arild said to you last minute? Did you guys chat sort of race morning? Was there any advice that he gave you or anything, or you just, go do what you do?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of all ready, and we had this joke that we're saying, if we don't win tomorrow, it's going to be 5 years of wasted. More kind of putting it on the wall there. So we all kind of felt, okay, we got to perform.
Where's that Olympic gold medal now?
Now it's actually hanging on the bike rack I have down in the basement. I just packed out my bag. So I
gotta sleep with it.
I haven't found any special place for it yet.
Oh, mate. Are you taking it everywhere you go for every interview and TV and everything?
Yeah, I feel like I need to do it now, even though it feels strange to walk around with a medal. But still, kind of people want to see it, and it's good to. Yeah, it's a medal I've been really chasing for so many years. And also I know
man.
that it's so many athletes who've been chasing it as well. And you can just, like, for the last basically 25 years of the sport, it's only been 5 guys who's been able to get it. So yeah, it's really a big one.
Mate, it's unbelievably big, and you like I said earlier, you've joined an incredible group of guys. Not only men that I respect in terms of their athletic performances on the race course, but just really all round great men that you couldn't find better guys to sit and have a beer with. And so I think you've done yourself, and you've certainly done the sport very proud. And I think we're all very, very excited for you. And well deserved. What's next for you before I let you go? You've got still a few things on the resume, I believe. Are you still going to do them all? I mean, is this speaking tour and everything going to exhaust you?
So, as I said before, I want to win the Olympic Games, and I want to win Hawaii, and I want to win everything. So now, I have like 2.5 weeks, or it's 2.5 weeks until race day of Frankfurt. So that means I have like 2 weeks of training.
Get out, doing Frankfurt Ironman.
Yeah. So it's 3 slots available there for Kona. So I don't really have more than the time to get ready. I've been peaking really for the games. So the volume has dropped quite a lot for last month. So now I just need to change the muscle fibers again to be more slow twitched and do everything I can do there, because
I have no idea.
Gustav is qualified already because of his win in this, and Casper is going to give it a try as well.
Oh wow! So Casper's joining you. Wow! And haven't you got? Are you doing the sub-7 thing as well, Chris McCormack? I know. Are you doing that?
Yeah, but that's next year in like May, June. So it's still plenty of time, and that's also you don't want to turn up to a sub-7 without having done an Ironman before. So if I get to do Frankfurt and qualifying and doing Hawaii, then that is done 2 in the bank before turning up to the start line of sub-7.
What about Collins Cup? Are you looking at doing that?
Not sure, really. I think it's going to be busy enough with Frankfurt, and also having the grand final. A lot of athletes don't do back-to-back racing of Olympic distance, but now I have to do back-to-back with an Ironman and then Olympic grand final distance the weekend after. So I think I need to do some rest and training after that.
Yeah, you look after yourself, mate. No, if I have one bit of advice, please enjoy that gold medal and all the accolades that go with it. I know you want to do everything in the sport and win everything, but oh man, please enjoy that gold medal. Are you going to do 70.3 worlds as well? Is that?
Not sure. I'm already qualified for that one, so I don't have to stress with that. But it depends on the plan towards Hawaii. If I qualify for Hawaii as well. If I don't qualify, I will do St. George.
Well, mate, this has been absolutely fantastic. And like I said earlier, it's just, I feel so privileged that you, out of your busy schedule, I know that you're traveling around Norway now that you're back in Bergen and doing interviews and celebrating with family and friends. And for you to spend this time, I know it's actually pretty late for you there now too, but to sit and spend this time with me means the world, mate. So I truly appreciate you just sharing everything about the gold medal and the physical, mental, and emotional strain that you went through to make it happen. So huge congrats, and thanks again for coming on the show, mate. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and thanks for reaching out before the games as well. It's not like it's not putting pressure on.
No pressure. It was more, I just want to make sure I line you guys up, you and Flora. I was like, okay, I need to make sure I write you guys. So I appreciate it, mate. And like I said earlier, I really do thank you for mentioning the show and on one of your interviews. And I thought that really gave me a thrill. So thank you again. And thanks everybody for listening and sharing the show and all your feedback. I really appreciate it. And you can find all the show notes and timestamps, links and coupon codes at bennettendurance.com/media. Thanks again, Kristian, mate. I appreciate it. It's time for you to go to bed.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you.
All right. Stay on the line, mate. Cheers. That was great.
Thanks a lot for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, your support would truly be appreciated. You can visit the Patreon page, or you can subscribe with your podcast app of choice. Don't miss the next episode, so subscribe and be notified. For show notes, if you want to know more, please visit bennettendurance.com. I'm Phil Liggett, and on behalf of Greg Bennett, here's to the next time, and I hope you will join Greg again very soon.